On July 21st, 2019, a brand new Yu-Gi-Oh anime was announced for the following year and the internet went wild. But not because we were getting a new Yu-Gi-Oh anime. That already happens every 3 to 4 years. This announcement was different. It revealed that we would be getting a special new series in celebration of the 20th anniversary of Yu-Gi-Oh anime. Not counting Yu-Gi-Oh 1998, of course. Naturally, this led to a lot of speculation. Most people believed that some kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters remake or reboot with superior animation was coming, while others believed we would see all 6 of the main protagonists in a new crossover adventure like the Bonds Beyond Time movie, which commemorated the 10th anniversary back in 2010. 6 months later, at Jump Festa 2020, we finally got a title and a trailer for the new series. As a fan of the original, the announcement back in July had rekindled my interest in the series. I went back and watched all of Duelist Kingdom, yes, in the 4Kids dub, and I even started buying cards again. But after that trailer, the hype was gone. I lost all interest in the so-called 20th anniversary series. That is until many months later when I stumbled across a certain card from the series. Curiosity got the best of me, I gave Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s a real shot, but what I discovered is that Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s delivers on just about everything it set out to be. In fact, if it weren't for a few fatal missteps, Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s would have won over much more of the pre-existing fanbase and found greater success overall. This begs the question, what went wrong? And now that I've been watching Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s for more than a year, I'm finally ready to tackle that question. First, let's talk about presentation, because this is what I believe turns most people away from the series. It certainly had that effect on me. Looking back at the Festa trailer, there was no Yugi, no Kaiba, not a single character from any of the other series, and the only Duel Monsters reference was Blue Eyes, which hardly even counts because it was animated in 3D. This gave off the impression that all of us had been duped. This is no anniversary series, it has nothing in common with the other Yu-Gi-Oh anime, let alone Duel Monsters. They even switched up the art style, for the first time ever. Something that just doesn't work for a franchise with an art style as iconic as that of Yu-Gi-Oh! Thus far, it's been the main thing tying together each of the different spin-offs aside from the card game. So what gives? Why this sudden change? It's especially confusing when you consider the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s was supposed to be nostalgic, reminiscent of the original anime. It just doesn't make sense. Now let's look at the first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. Yuga, our new main protagonist, doesn't even like the Yu-Gi-Oh! card game. In fact, he dislikes it so much that he changes the rules and forces everyone else to use them. Then the rest of the show is about Master Rule players trying to figure out how to undo the changes made by Yuga. And even though I quite like the new Rush Duel format, I must admit it's kinda hard to root for the protagonist when you look at it from the perspective of anyone who isn't a Duel Monsters diehard. But none of the Duel Monsters diehards even made it this far because the art style was such a huge turn-on. It's also clear that the show's new dueling format is meant to pander to Duel Monsters fans more than anyone else, because around half the cards in Rush are retrains of Duel Monsters era cards. Then you also have the legend cards. In Rush Duel, when a card has the legend status indicated by this stamp, it can only be played at 1 copy per deck and only 1 legend card can be used in a deck. And as of now, this status has been reserved exclusively for classic iconic cards from the Duel Monsters anime. I'm a huge fan of this mechanic because usually when a card is limited in Yu-Gi-Oh, that's a sign that the card is quite powerful, and seeing an old favorite card of mine with this stamp is like having a lifelong favorite athlete enter the Hall of Fame. Eventually, I expect to see cards from GX and beyond receive the same treatment. It's a shame, however, that so many fans will never get to share this experience, because once again, the change in art style is such a huge barrier. But why did they change the art style? Hear me out. Duel Masters. It's a game and an anime. Outside of Japan, it wasn't popular at all, but inside of Japan, it's one of the most popular card games. And I heard that in the last year before Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s was announced, Duel Masters overtook Yu-Gi-Oh! As the #1 card game in Japan. And if you look at the characters in the Duel Masters anime, it's not hard to spot similarities. When it comes to the card game, Duel Masters already had a legend rarity, and finally, we have the fact that both Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s and Rush Duel have not been released outside of Japan. It makes sense when you consider what I said just earlier, Duel Masters did not work outside of Japan. Coincidence? Probably. There are some obvious problems with this theory, namely the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s likely has an English dub in the works. It wasn't officially confirmed by Konami or any studio, but a voice actor did claim that it is in the works, and I believe we already have an English version of the Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's logo. Furthermore, Pokemon also had a legend rarity way before Duel Masters, and in Rush Duel, the legend stamp isn't even a rarity. It is a gameplay mechanic that sort of functions as a rarity, given that legend cards are not guaranteed to be in every booster box, much like secret rares, ultimate rares, and others in certain sets. Then we have what I believe to be the final nail in the coffin: the English release of the Rush Duel video game for the Nintendo Switch. I still don't think we'll be seeing an English release for Rush Duel anytime soon, especially with Speed Duel still being on life support, but the release of this video game does give me some hope. What is more likely to be the case, in my opinion, is executives over at Konami probably felt that Yu-Gi-Oh! Needed a reboot in order to get more new fans, and the hype around a huge anniversary release was the perfect opportunity to do so from a marketing standpoint. In fact, in the initial teaser from July 2019, the announcer said the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime will change forever. And in a way, this is completely true. Think about it, a lot of the cards used in Sevens are from Duel Masters, but much like the art style, they have been altered drastically. In fact, we've already seen references to cards from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal and Arc 5, so it's not entirely aimed at Duel Masters fans. They've also added not just one, but 2 new summoning mechanics to Rush Duel in just 1 year. This is the only time that's happened since Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Masters, but they aren't exactly brand new. The first one, Maximum Summoning, is for the most part exclusive to Rush and entirely new, although it does remind me a bit of Exodia. The second one, however, is just Fusion Summoning but with a slight twist. That twist being that you can only Fusion Summon using materials while they are already face up on the field. It's not that big of a difference, but a difference nonetheless. Another huge problem, aside from the art style, possibly even bigger, is the name. What kind of reboot has a number in the title? That completely defeats the point of it being a reboot, because nobody starts a series with the 7th entry. Whose idea was it to name a reboot after the numbered entry it is into a 20-year-long franchise? This is so insane, especially when you look at the names of all the other Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. None of them, except for Arc 5, have numbers in the title. So why did they name it Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s? And the problem is emphasized by the fact that the number is so integral to the actual anime. The shape of the dual disc, it's a number 7. The lyrics to the theme song almost entirely comprised of the number 7. The setting? Goha's 7th elementary school. For someone to begin their journey into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise with Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s, it's like starting JoJo with Steel Ball Run. It just isn't right. This is why I believe Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s wasn't only intended to be a reboot. I believe it was simultaneously trying to bring all of the other series together, like some of us had hoped for when we first found out about the series. But doing both of those things at the same time just cannot be done while having such a dramatic change in art style and being named after its entry into the franchise. However, in spite of its problems, I must admit Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s did succeed in the most important way possible. Once I got over the initial hurdle that I've mentioned about 1,000 times in this video, it successfully reignited my love for Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole, and it did so through Rush Duel. And you can't have Rush Duel without Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. In fact, I like Rush Duel so much that I've even made a second channel specifically dedicated to the card game, even though I no longer watch the anime. So, if you've been hesitant to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s or Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel, I suggest you give it a shot. The art style may prevent you from seeing it as a true 20th anniversary series, but the point of a 20th anniversary series is fan service, and there is tons of that, especially in the card game, so give it a shot. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Consider supporting me on Patreon, where I'll be posting exclusive content, and check out my Enigma YGO channel for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel content. Thanks for watching.